Configuring Electronic Signatures, presented by the Idaho Digital Accessibility Consortium. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to configure electronic signatures for your accessible document. For our example document, we don't need a signature since it's a needs assessment survey. We don't necessarily need to have a signature to collect the information from our users. But for this example, I want to demonstrate some of the ways that you can configure a signature for an accessible document. On page 2 of our document, I have added a signature section. And one of the best practices for outlining your signatures is the same as your other sections. You want to give it a heading and tag that as a heading. Provide the instructions on the page, and then also use those same field property settings that you use for the rest of your form, including providing the tooltip information as needed for the signature field. You also need to make sure that the field label name is specific to the type of signature that you need. If you have a document that has more than one signature field, for example, you need to specify in the tooltip who that signature is for. Here I have 3 different examples of how you could configure a signature. Our first has the direction, electronic signatures are not accepted. Please print and sign this document before submitting. Then we have the signature field label, the form field, and the date field. Our tooltip for the signature is electronic signatures not accepted. Please print and sign this document before submitting. So it's the same information that is provided above the field on the document as a direction. Please keep in mind that requiring someone to print the form and sign the document physically before submitting the document automatically makes your form not accessible. This format presents barriers for users before they even get started. First, they have to access a printer. Then they have to actually sign the document. Then they have to find a way to actually get the document back to you. So not allowing any kind of electronic signature and only having a physical signature is probably the least accessible way to collect information from users using a PDF form. If you do go this route though, there are a couple things to keep in mind for the form settings. I'm going to open my Prepare Form tools and open the properties for this signature text box. I've labeled it Signature Read Only. I've added my tooltip of electronic signatures not accepted. Please print and sign this document before submitting. Under Appearance, I've added a black underline to give people that space to write on. But the main thing is we have to lock this field down so no one types in it. There are a couple ways to do that. One is more accessible than another. Under the General tab, there is an option to mark this field as read only. The form field will be tagged as a form field, but none of the tooltip information is visible for users who need that information. Marking this as read only makes the form field invisible for users. So don't do this way. If you do need to limit this form field because you want your user to print and sign the document, under Options, select Limit of and add 1 character. What this does is it makes the form field active, so users who need that tooltip can still hear and access and read that tooltip, but users who are typing are prevented from filling out their full signature using typing. We recommend making it read only by limiting it to 1 character, rather than selecting the read only button or the read only option, which makes it invisible for users. The other way to add an electronic signature to your document is to actually use the electronic signature field. So this form field adds a digital signature, and you can add signature options in the Properties view. Select this form field and draw it on your page. You can add your name and your tooltip under the General tab. Under Appearance, you also have the options to add the border color and the underline. And under the Signed option, you also have some additional options. You can select Nothing Happens When Signed, and that's typically what you're going to do for most of your documents. You can also select Mark as Read Only for different types of fields available. So this may be a good option if you are wanting to lock down your form as soon as someone signs it, but keep in mind that only happens for the electronic version. This will not limit any print users from doing anything. So I recommend selecting Nothing Happens When Signed. If you do select Mark as Read Only and provide some of the options either for all fields except these, or just these fields, you need to provide that information to users about what will happen when they sign their document. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that tooltip information or those instructions on the page. Another option is to provide some sort of verify statement, and you can use this with a checkbox form. In this third example here, I have the statement, I verify the statements in this document are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. And then I provide a signature text field and a date field next to it. So users, when I configure the multiple checkbox, I can add that statement to the tooltip. And then for my signature field, I can add the tooltip, please type your signature. So this is just another way to kind of verify that whoever is filling out the form is certifying that, yes, this is the best and accurate to my knowledge, and then they can type it without needing to do an electronic signature or without needing to print the document. If you have a date associated with your signature, and most signature fields are followed by a date, and this date is usually when it was signed. So in all of your settings for the date fields, you need to include that information in the tooltip for your date. So for our first example, that it was that read only signature field, we have the tooltip of date of printed signature. For our electronic signature field, our tooltip is date of electronic or printed signature. And finally, for our verify statement, we have the tooltip of enter date of typed signature. So you need to provide that context for what the date is for in reference to the signature. For more details on the implications of electronic signatures or printed signatures in documents, I encourage you to watch the webinar from our accessible PDF form series on electronic signatures. There you'll have more of a discussion of the pros and cons of requiring signatures and what you can do to help limit some of those barriers for users.